Hi, I'm Matt Stanky from Go Brewing. We're brewers who specialize in non-alcoholic craft beer. We make all of our products in-house using traditional ingredients and brewing methods. Our award-winning lineup features over a dozen innovative and revenue-driving styles. As more people cut back, it's smart for small brewery owners to offer high-quality NA options. Do you want to add Go Brewing to your menu? Simply click the retailer app at the bottom of the page. We offer wholesale pricing and free shipping on orders over $200. With 2-day shipping, it could be on your menu this week. Thanks and enjoy the panel.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Beer's Better Half, Rethinking Your Food Game. Today, we're joined by two innovative breweries. We have Chris from Breakway Brewing down in San Antonio, and we also have Jason joining us from Wildland Brands in Denver, Colorado. Your food may bring them in, right? But your beer may bring them in. I'm sorry, but your food is what keeps people around, right? So we're just having a conversation today about how to turn your food program from a necessity into a revenue-driving asset, right? So we'll talk about things like menu design, cost tracking, staffing. Everyone's having issues staffing the kitchen these days. Pricing. We'll talk about your guest experience a little bit. We'll explore what's working, what's not, and what's next. All right. I don't know if you guys want to give a couple of quick intros. My name is Andre. I'm joining everyone from MarginEdge. We've got Chris here from Breakaway Brewing. Want to jump in there?
Sure. So I have a 5-barrel tap room and gastropub located in San Antonio, and it's all cycling themed. We chose when we did our menu to not have any single type of fare. We decided my wife and I are foodies. And so we decided to take the concept of we would make our menu, build our menu out of things that we like to eat when we're drinking beer.
Love that. Love that. Business with the missus. You're a brave man. Jason?
Yes, good morning. So my name is Jason. I'm joining from the Wilding Brands team. We operate with Denver Beer Company, Funkworks, Stem Ciders, Acreage, and Ghostbox Pizza. So we have many different concepts all across the Denver metro area. We took our food. We started just as tap rooms, no focus on the food scene, and then after running food trucks, we decided that it was time to explore the area of bringing the revenue from outside of food truck into our own kitchens. And going about that, we originally designed our menu just kind of simple up fare with an elevated twist. So something like adding duck fat to fries, as well as just how you create that elevated experience that everyone is now catered towards in the restaurant industry. But I still always like to call our menus they're basically between two breads. Everyone wants a good sandwich when they're eating.
Love that. Love that. Duck fat with your fries too. I know it's a huge fad here in DC. Elevated. I love it. I love it. You guys have kind of answered the first topic. So what if we jump right in to our second one? So as you guys have implemented food, and here, Jason, we'll start with you. How do you balance the identity of your beer program with such compelling food offerings?
Yes, I really think it comes down to what your focus is on your restaurant, your service model. So our service model really focuses on a beer first establishment. We want to make sure that people are coming in for the beer first by recognizing the brands. And then I think the food is the second thought, where it's we are going to sell more beer if you drink beer. So a lot of it, one of my favorite items was a Parmesan fry, and it just salt amount made you drink another beer. So the identity of the food still exists as far as you know what you're going to get. You're going to get that elevated pub fare, but also we want to make sure that the beer is first and that people are focusing on the seasonality, whether that be sample platters, or just the general of what you want to drink. So there's a lot of marketing behind the beer side of things, and having food as that hey, we also have foods that we stay for that second or third night. That's the idea behind the food menu. Is when we see that price average per check go up, it's because of the food items, and you can see that kind of establishment or that service model go through from our tap rooms that don't have kitchens to the tap rooms that do have kitchens. So it really is. We do want to make sure that the beer is the front court. it's one of our names is Denver Beer Company. We want to make sure that you're coming for the actual beer. And then that food is like, okay, but we also have this, so it drives people into the tap room. We also do focus on the establishment environment. So it's huge, something that we always focus on, making sure our tap rooms are that German beer garden where it's like, you're going to come for a pint, you're going to have a second one, you're going to meet your next best friend. So it really is about the environment of our establishments. We do focus a lot of time and energy in making sure that people are sticking around for one or two.
I love that. Something I pound home all the time, man. If you have good food, if you've got a good atmosphere, music helps too. People will drink more.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And kind of same, Chris, like how do you guys balance the identity? I know you said a lot of the food comes from things that you and your wife would like to actually consume with beer. Right?
Yeah. So we try to do the same thing. We try to elevate some basic pub fare, but kind of take it to another level. Like we do, like much to what Jason mentioned about the duck fat fries, like the salty component of that always keeps them round and keeps them drinking a little bit more. We do a polenta fry, which kind of does the same type of thing, adds a little bit of cheese, a little bit of salt into it. We also do a deep fried pepperoni chip that we do with a gorgonzola dipping sauce. So kind of as our, those are kind of some of our staples for our appetizers. But then we've got our static smash burger, right, which is just everybody's standard. We do it really well. But then we offer what we term our Grand Tour burger, which is our signature dish, or one of them anyway. And then, but we try to stay away from tons of tacos, tons of wings, tons of pizzas, all that kind of thing. Like if we're going to do it, we're going to do our way. Like we do a Vietnamese sticky wing. We don't do all types of wings. And my chef and I took 3 months to perfect that recipe before it even hit the menu. So it's just one of those things that if we're going to do it, then we're going to do it well. The focus for us is everything should be craft. The beer should be craft. The food should be craft. And your experience when you're in our tap room is a craft experience, right? Because of the people that we have working the bar and serving. You want people to feel welcome, but you also want to make sure that your staff is knowledgeable about both your food and your beer.
Love that. Well, one thing's for sure, I made a mistake coming to this podcast on not having eaten lunch. You guys just made me hungry. So here, Chris, we'll stay there for a second. Like, what's been your biggest challenge in running a food operation alongside the brewing operation? How did you tackle it?
Well, it's funny. I have some friends who actually own restaurants across the country. And so I was talking to them, and when I was putting the business plan together, I was kind of pulling my hair out, trying to write the business plan because, I said, I feel like I'm running 2 businesses as I'm writing this plan. And they chuckled at me and they're like, no, man, you're doing 3. Like you've got you have your brewery, you have your food, you have your kitchen, and you have your front of the house. Like those are 3 completely separate components that you're going to be blending. And I had been brewing for almost 25 years between homebrew and, in the industry by the time we opened. So the brewing side, I had a pretty good handle on. I've been in and out of tap rooms working in sales for most of my life. So that was good. I had a general knowledge of the kitchen. The kitchen to me was didn't really become profitable and didn't really become what I wanted it to be until I found my chef. I now have what I term to be my best team since we've been open, and we've only been open 2.5 years. And recently just found out that we won Local Brewery of the Year this year.
Congratulations.
I've got my tap room in place, or my tap room manager in place. I've got my chef in place, and I've got my lead brewer in place. And the 4 of us really work as a solid team, and everything is really moving forward now. So not having that early on, the kitchen was something that I struggled with. I could do the orders and I could do the inventory, and we wrote the recipes, and, I was the one that actually laid out the kitchen with 0 kitchen layout experience in a commercial kitchen. And, luckily we've only had to make a couple of minor adjustments. So, I had enough knowledge to be dangerous. I think having a food thing, there's enough there. I've got a good friend who owns a brewery. He's like, I never wanted to do a kitchen. Don't want to deal with it. Right. And he's got a food truck that he partners with that's parked outside his brewery, he contracts it out and it changes every so often. I'm a little more particular. I want to be able to control the quality of the food. I want to make sure, that it's coming out, that it's getting done right, that if they like the food, then we get then that reflects on us. And if they don't like the food, then we have the ability to fix it. If it's not our food, we don't really have the ability to fix that. Right. So I think that's the biggest challenge is kind of getting that balance in place and that experience in place.
You bring up a good point, because I've definitely been in a position myself in my career where you outsource the food, right? And like you said, you do lose the control over it. Jason, how about you? Like, what's been you guys' biggest challenge in running your operation for your food operation?
I mean, ultimately, and I think this is actually a positive challenge for us, but we do a lot of our metrics or a lot of our menu changes based on data. So we do kind of focus on the sales side of things. So I think the biggest challenge is the creativity of our chefs in our kitchen. We're always changing our processes on how certain items are created or produced, or cooking methods. But in reality, every time we roll out a new menu, and we can keep these menu items on for, months, if not a year, we're coming up with the same product mix report where it's just like, people are here for burgers, people are here for wings, and people are here for French fries. And so I think the biggest challenge is kind of being innovative in the Denver metro area when you have so much competition, and there's so much competition in the culinary world. But now that our food scene is starting to get recognized, and if you don't come to the playing field with something creative and unique, people are, they're going to still come for their burger, with that nice place to be relaxing. But we're also not getting put on the map for our food scene anymore, which is kind of, I think that's the biggest part, is we want to be creative. We want all of our line cooks and culinary representatives to have that creativity where it's like, hey, you did something really awesome at this one concept, bring it over here. But we're struggling with that because every time we put it on the menu, and regardless if you keep it on during slow months, busy months, regardless, people are still here for what they know us for.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's a positive because it's like, we are trying new things. We are, we're not catering our kitchen specific towards American, Asian, Mexican, any sort of specific genre. But at the end of the day, when we're managing our menus based on a data analysis and a report, and obviously then there's the cost that goes into it as well, which we know we're going to get to further the conversation. Yeah. But we're kind of seeing it day by day exactly what everybody wants. We've tried so many times, and there are some items that really hit very well, and then they stay on the menu for years and years, and then when you remove it, it's gone. But then there's also the other items where it's like, you only sell 90 a week of, and you remove it from your menu after 6 months, and people get super frustrated with you, and they're like, I promise you, we have the culinary creativity and the culinary professionalism to create good things, but I get it. It's like, you sell a grilled cheese in a 100-degree day, not the best.
It's funny you guys bring that up, right? And I'm listening to you guys speak, and you may not realize this. You guys are actually light years ahead of some trained chefs. I will give you an example. One of my buddies of mine, we actually owned a spot together, and he's a fine dining chef, and that's all he wanted to push. And I would look at the numbers like you're saying, and I'm like, we sell more fried chicken. Right? We've since gone our separate ways, still a good friend, but guess what? He just opened a fried chicken food stall in a food hall. I'm like, I told you that 10 years ago. But yeah, it's.
The trends are out there, right? We see, Chris, Andrew, I don't know how long you've been in the industry, but it's like, right, sliders were a huge thing. You put sliders on your menu now, they're not that big of a thing. Then you don't see the cupcake shops opening up anymore. Now it is fried chicken right now. Everyone is going after fried chicken, and the amount of shops opening up with different concepts coming from different parts of the country, it's amazing. But what's next, right? Ancho chilies are coming up. The whole gochujang, that's a huge one right now. Everyone has something gochujang or shishito peppers on. It's like, all right, where are we headed next, and how can we be the first one to hit there?
Yeah.
All right, so let's dig a little bit on the analytics, right? Here we'll jump. Chris, how do you measure the ROI or success of your food program?
Well, obviously we look at daily sales, but we also do use we also do use MarginEdge. And so that actually gives us the ability to take a look at what's selling, where we're making profit, and what's, what may be our most profitable dish versus what's selling versus we make a really good margin on this one, but it's a dog, right? And so, we go in and we refine things. We had things that my wife and I absolutely wanted to have on the menu, and it was either my early chef's execution or it was my my not lack of understanding of what things actually cost. I know for a fact that before we started with MarginEdge and before we got my current chef, we were constantly running between a 33 to 35% food margin.
Yes.
We're now down to 27%.
That's huge.
So, when you can take it and you can tweak it and you can see what's happening, it's easier for you to take the emotion out of adding or removing a dish when you can see, even if it's your favorite dish, but you haven't made one of those in 2 weeks, right? It may not be everybody else's favorite dish, right? So you can bring it back as a special. We were the menu thing. The menu placement is also key. We had our sticky wings on. They were when we initially announced them, they were big. Like everybody wanted them. Everything's going well. And so when we printed off our new menus, we split it up kind of by course. And so the sticky wings were didn't get buried, but they were just listed with everything else. Sales went down. We printed a new menu, but we brought the sticky wings back up to the top, and we put a little colored box around it. And guess what? We're selling hand over fist again, right? And so the funny thing is that I was on a call not long ago with Andrew talking about the beer side of menus like we're doing now, and we had run an experiment. We took the beers that we had listed. We have 8 taps. And we took the beers that were on tap 7 and 8 and put them on 1 and 2. All of a sudden, they started selling faster than they were selling on 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So it's the psychology of the customer. So if you've got the numbers, like you can massage some of your results.
Being nimble. No, I love that. And Jason, kind of the same thing. Like, how are you guys measuring your ROI or success? You're using that menu analysis also?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like the PMix report is a little bit different than the menu analysis, but at the end of the day, it's like, your dogs and your performers and your driving carts. It's like you have to have both.
Yeah.
We both know we're going to have menu items on there that are going to hit around 31, 32%. And we both know we have menu items that are going to hit around 11, 12%.
Right.
It's kind of like how you have to operate. If you try and project everything at 25%, you're going to have some really low quality entrees. I hate to say it, but and then Chris, I'm sure you also experience this and see it. It's like during the summer, every price of our entrees go up. No, they don't go up physically on the menu, but our costs go up every summer, right? Every protein, especially anything coming from a cow or a chicken, it drives a factor. So we do look we used to use a company called Yellow Dog, and I don't know if anyone's seen Yellow Dog. It's another inventory software, and it was a headache. We realized we had too many people with their hands in the pot, and so we started to limit, especially when we got MarginEdge, of how many people could control the menu items, how many people could control the recipes. Because what happens when you have multiple GMs on multiple different platforms messing with things, it was a nightmare to keep up with. All of a sudden, we're backpedaling and reaching out to MarginEdge, being like, okay, we made a mistake. Again, too many people have a hands in the pot, or don't know what they're doing, or proper training, or think they know what they're doing. I think yields hit us the hardest is what we're trying to identify. But measuring success is we understand that food costs go up in the summer. At the same time, though, it's like if you're doing the volume, it's not going to hurt as well as much as it does in this winter when you're doing less volume. So yes, I understand that burger prices can go up. We're going to hit a 31% food cost, lower it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, so that we were trying to hit 29. But if you start selling a majority of burgers, I'm going to take the cost every day, and I'm just going to put something that's lower. Also enticing, right? And Chris, you make that valid feedback. It's by mimicking or as you say, being a magician about it, by mimicking where you put things on the menu items, people kind of if you eat with your eyes first, 1,
right,
and then 2, if you see something first that interests you, already you head into the rest of the menu going I think I already know what I want. but let's still navigate and see if there's anything that's enticing. But most of the time, we go into a restaurant already knowing what we want to eat. Every once in a while, you walk past the table carrying that sizzling plate of wings or a sizzling burger. People are like, it's going to entice them to order something. But at the end of the day, we already kind of know what we're looking for. I think MarginEdge has been a huge, I think one of the best companies I've ever worked with. I mean, R365 is okay, but the way MarginEdge kind of computes data for you is pretty amazing to see. But to be successful, I mean, it's always constantly watching your costs, watching your labor. Denver's minimum wage increases year after year. So how do we, help offset those costs? Food, we all see that with everything going up year over year as well. So it's like MarginEdge kind of controls those costs for us, so we can be more ahead of the page and more on top of it before those trends set in and we find ourselves in the hole. So I really valued the software for that. And then just, again, turnover. We all know the cost of turnover. So watching your costs is just it's making sure we're doing the right thing. And also making sure that we're not nickel and diming your customers. I think that's a huge thing too, where it's you want to ensure that what you're putting out there is not oh, I could charge this much for it, but I'm not going to. So you just want to be relevant in the market. I mean, burger prices in Denver are hitting over $19, and people are I'm not paying that. It's I agree. You don't need to be paying that much. And what can we do? I think the biggest conversation this year we've had is, and I hate to say it's literally the quality of fry. So we buy a specific fry, they're out of stock. What do? And we see that as just I need that quality of fry. It's what sets us apart from a lot of companies, identifying how you transition from that. And that's, it's the provider, the retail food providers issue to deal with that. It's burger patties, we always have to find something. Yeah, we all want a Wagyu patty or a Kobe beef patty, but we all know it's not cost effective. But that plate cost is kind of watching that. It's just making sure we're successful. So, I mean, reality, especially when you're looking food specific driven, it's plate cost and labor, they all have to be in there. And, if you want to get into SPLH, it's then we can talk about sales per labor and what we're doing to make sure that the food side is still driving enough revenue to keep the food side open. We have many concepts without food sides, and we see how profitable they are without the food. Yeah. So how do we make sure also that we're even more cost effective and are hitting our bottom numbers, even hiring more people in the kitchen, having an additional cost with food. And so it's really paying attention to all avenues of the sales portion of it. It's and your costs are expensive, right? Chris, I'm sure you have a machinery that, thoughts out all the time. It's okay, we got a budget for when a fryer goes out or a fridge goes out, and then new knives, new third pans, new everything. It is cost effective, but I think it's correct training, also having the right staff to do everything for you, and making sure those, the guidelines are met, and also just making sure it's we stay under those levels of where we want our food costs to be.
I think for me, interestingly, the thing that MarginEdge kind of brings together is it pulls everything from we use 7 shifts for our scheduling, so it pulls in all of our labor data, it pulls in stuff from all of our POS stuff, and two of the things that I think are not talked about enough, I think, that are the waste log, and honestly the nightly emails. Those are just kind of, you don't live and die by those, but at the same time, it's a great snapshot at any given time for myself and my managers to know, hey, what happened last Monday that we only did that amount, or why'd we crunch it this Monday versus last Monday, right? And holy cow, we're down from last year quite a bit on this day. Did we have an event? It doesn't have that kind of information in the email, but you can look across it and they're there has to be something going on. So I can go back to the calendar and go, oh yeah, we had a reservation for 50 that night. That explains that discrepancy. Not all of a sudden we've lost all these customers, right? So
100%.
It's a good conversation tool, and it's a good thing, and it's a good thing to have as a tracking mechanism.
Yep. Those driving factors, right? We've started doing large party orders just to ensure that I can easily accommodate 20 people quicker if they pre-order a platter or something like that. That's our food already, but instead of doing one tray at a time, easy. And it drives up that factor by, almost $1,000 per night.
Yep.
Easy. Well, here, I'll use this as a shameless plug. It's a very new feature just released a week or so ago, so you guys may not have had a chance to use it yet. But now, Chris, in the sales forecasting, you can put notes with the day's sales. So you could put that party, whatever the case may be, so that you can go back and look at it. No, man, you guys mentioned a lot of great stuff. I know the beer's better half has heard this from me before, right? Guide your customers. There's nothing worse than to just have someone taking an order, right? And you guide that customer experience with your data before they come into your tap room, right? I use a crazy stat I've always used. It may have changed a bit by now, but 83% of Americans decide, kind of to your point, what they're going to eat before they come in, right? Put those things that are selling well that make you profitable as well on your social media, right? Kind of use it to guide it. So, let's talk a little bit about staffing, right? How is staffing maybe made you make any adjustments to your food menu at all? I know, staffing is a huge thing. I think, Jason, you mentioned the hourly wage going up in Denver. So like, how is staffing kind of impacting your food service?
So, I mean, we are doing actually much better in 2025 in Denver. But I think COVID, and I think we all can relate to this, COVID took all of our line cooks and everyone in the culinary world out of it, right? You can make more money driving for Uber or whatever it might be. You can do DoorDash Eats. COVID really hurt that. And so in 2023, it was a nightmare to anyone who walked in the door almost had a position as long as, they didn't seem completely out of the position. And you had your managers and GMs working line cook positions because it's like we had no other idea. I am one of those individuals who specifically says we need to do an internal look on and see why are people hiring now that we hit 2025 and we actually are getting more resumes. So we have never really catered our menu. I think I've catered more of our benefits towards how we are more of a pristine and good employer and able to provide a little bit more than what the traditional restaurant is here in Denver. So whether it be going above minimum wage prices, offering, Chris, you can probably relate, this beer benefits are huge for line cooks. If you are willing to offer your employees a pint or two after work on the deck house, that kind of helps alleviate some of the things that, a traditional restaurant would not offer them. So we've never increased pricing for specifically minimum wage increases. We've more increased pricing specifically based on what the cost of the product is. And we kind of, as a company, consume the cost of the labor model of that. So I think Denver Beer Company and Wildly Brands has been pretty successful in that regard. So it's like, how do we make ourselves a more acquirable employee and make us better into the industry by offering a little bit better benefits, a little bit higher pay increases, just to ensure that, the team does stick around without putting the cost of these onto the consumer. So staffing, don't get me wrong, staffing is difficult still. It's like you never know who's walking in that door. You never know who you're going to get, but I think a lot of people, by putting your name out there, know who we are now. We've been around for 14 years, so that's kind of helping us quite a bit. That people have had an experience with us, they've seen the culture, and culture is a huge thing. A lot of the line cooks I brought in with me, they knew me from other tap rooms, so it's like they're like, oh, he's fun to work with. It's like, yes, it's a good time. We have a job to do, but at the same time, it's like, look, it's also we want to make sure the family and the camaraderie stays within the community and the organization.
Yeah, for us, right, and we're in a little bit different position than Jason is because we have not been around for 14 years. We've only been around for 2.5, and so I feel like we're just kind of finding our groove with most of our staff. We had the turnstile that was the kitchen for a long time. Of line cooks were in and out, in and out, in and out. Now, part of that I attribute to not actually having a true chef that actually had control back there, and just having maybe an elevated line cook that I was looking to try to get in. But one of the things that I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay like everybody else, what we've actually done to really kind of make it more feel as a team atmosphere and that everybody should be pulling in the same direction is we actually tip pool. So we tip pool with the front of the house and the back of the house. Back of the house typically gets paid more per hour. So right now, I think we're doing 10% tip out to them and 90%, but we do it across hours worked and not individual shifts. So everybody kind of, unless it is we have Sundays, we're closed on Sundays, and Sundays are by reservation only. So on Sundays, the people that work on Sundays will get tipped out on that event only. But if it's a daily thing, if one Saturday happens to be bad, then that's going to get balanced out by the Friday that was probably decent. If a Friday's down, but the Saturday was good. Like, it's going to balance out across the board. So, everybody, it's a little bit more favorable working environment. And with the software provider we're using for payroll, we actually get tipped out every week for the previous week. So it actually works out, and everybody's really happy.
Okay. Are either one of you guys, and I know I'm going off script a little bit, when we talk about staffing, either one of you using a service charge model?
We don't have a service charge model that goes, we have more of an operational model, but it goes back into employee benefits.
Got it. Okay.
So it's more or less for acquired trainings, so that way we can provide staff, with serve safe and that kind of stuff.
Got it. So you guys are in two different markets. So when we talk about your staffing and how to scale that with seasonality, like how do you guys handle that? And here, Jason.
Definitely Denver's very difficult. My patio to my indoor ratio is about 25% inside, 70% outside. So during the slower months, I personally, they always get a 2-month heads up that, hey, hours will be cut, but I absorb the cost of them. So most of my team who works 40 to 45 hours during the summer months generally go down to about 30, 32 hours. My labor goes up to about 40% in the back of the house during the winter months, and I absorb them. The mentality of that is it's about 2 to 3 months that we absorb that labor that I'd rather spend the money there and make up for in the summer. So in the summer, we run around about 11% labor back of house, just due to volume. And in the winter, I absorb it. Yes, the conversations are always had, come December, January, and February. But, my sales double from January to February, and then they double from February to March. So I'm thankful that I have that model. But when it is slow, yes, they do go down to about 4 days a week. They've always been open communication with that around September. I say, hey, look, here's what's going to happen. I'm honest with you. I will do my best to give you your 30 hours a week. And I absorb that labor just by balancing out during the summer. So that's when we have to focus on the annual profit and loss and the annual percentage of labor. Because yes, during the summer, it's great. We crush it. But I know that I don't want to just burn and turn somebody when I know when they are family. And so I'll absorb as much as I can. They're also understanding too. It's as much as I want to give you that extra labor in the winter, we physically can't. We'll have our P&Ls hit our profit loss statements be really low, but we make up for it in the summer. And it's not worth training somebody because you never know who's walking through that door.
Right.
Yeah. And it is an added aspect to the business when you guys bring in the tap room. So the same thing, Chris, 'cause I know you're in a different market. Like, what is staffing like in your kitchen, and how do you have to scale that? Maybe as your food, you've been in 2.5 years, right? So how have you had to grow your kitchen staff, and do you have the same issue with seasonality?
So the interesting thing is that from a seasonality standpoint and really growing the staff, we've actually pared our staff down. And we have now really 3 what I would call full-time. So my chef plus 2 full-time, and then we've got a person who actually cut their teeth in the kitchens in other places, but actually is a craft beer lover and is good with customers and is behind the bar. So what we've really done is we have one person that kind of is the float. They're mostly in the front, but they will take the extra hours in the back, because I can always bring on somebody else in front if I need him in back. So to me, it's more about getting the right people than having a huge number of people. It's just where we are right now. We're not slammed every single day because we're 2.5 years in, and right now San Antonio is the poster child for the craft beer industry, not at its best. Okay. So I think the numbers are that the craft beer across the board is down about 4 to 4.5%, and San Antonio's down around 7.5%. So right now it's about keeping the keeping the best people, right? I don't want to, if I have to cut somebody, I'm more in Jason's vein where I'm going to absorb that labor as much as I can, because I don't want to turn a good employee away that I may lose, that may never come back, right? If they find a better opportunity somewhere else.
Okay, so kind of in that, to kind of pivot on that, we're talking, cost. Like, what role does technology play in managing your vendors or even managing your inventory?
I'd say it's a pretty good amount, because I mean, your guys' heads up on, when stuff is going up or going down, like, it going red or green is really easy for me to go, hey, chef, what's happening here, right? And like, do I need to have the conversation with the vendor, right? And so it's just really good reminders.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Those price alerts and price movers, your MarginEdge, oh my God, they're a lifesaver. I've always suggested to, when we were first onboarding, it's like, I know you guys like to do the top 5 and the bottom 5, but we should make it like a top 10, bottom 10, if not a little more than that. But it's an easy way to, and then obviously as the conversation is like, with these price movers, if you are capable of doing it, how do you, no one likes contracts, but sometimes contracts can really make or break some of your price points, because they absorb the prices in the summer, we take for the hit in the winter. And that's kind of like a good idea of good telling of like technology saying, it's like, hey, if you keep your price point brisket at what we agreed to on a specific item, they'll take the hit in the summer when I need it the most.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things, price movers, and I actually was on a work trip and I dined at a client's, and they have a floor manager who's now the general manager, who I've seen grow over the years. One of the things she kind of said to me was she never really took an interest in the numbers, right? She just was there it was a job. She was managing the floor. And when MarginEdge was introduced, she was like, hey, it made me a better manager. I could digest the information easier. Right. So I know that having those conversations can be a bit easier. Right. Well, here, let's talk about are you like here, Chris, do you use your food to create events or pairings? Maybe there's promotions that support the beer sales. Like how's food played a part in that?
Yeah, so what we do is we typically do a food special every day, and they're typically, it's something that it's tweaked just a little bit from what's not normally on the menu. So it's not just our smash burger, like it's our smash burger with our house-made chips for $7, right? And that's a reduction there. But it's when we do that, we do it with the smash burger for $7, and for an extra, or you can get a one, either Fausto or our Texan, which are our kind of yellow fizzy beers, for $2 off when you buy the $7 smash burger, right? And so we try to actually pair things that are going to go well with it and balance both the food and the beer together. And those are just kind of the daily specials. So not only are we giving them a pairing, but we're probably bringing something in that they may not have had before that they're having because they're getting a deal. But now when they come back, they know that they're going to like that beer, like that food offering. And, and to Jason's point about everything being, when we were talking about all the fried chicken stuff, right? And that's what's blowing up right now. Thursday is the only day you can get a fried chicken sandwich in our place. Otherwise, we do a grilled chicken gorgonzola sandwich. And if you want a fried one, it's Thursday. Thursday is the only day we do it, right? So that's why we take what we do a little bit and tweak it every day, kind of, for our special.
I love that.
I do too. I can only imagine Thursday. Well, you'll see a pattern, right? You'll see certain people come on certain days.
Yeah. Tuesdays all day breakfast tacos. So in San Antonio, that normally does pretty well.
Okay, so and when I'm assuming like when you put those pairings in, you're able to put them right into your MarginEdge, and you can get your profitability, your margins right there. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I actually do that I've talking to CJ and talking to a couple other people that I do a little bit different than everybody, that as other breweries that are looking at MarginEdge, is that I actually do my beer batches as prepared items.
Yep.
That way I can see just like a sauce out of the kitchen or that type of thing, because we snap a picture of every invoice that comes in and everything goes into MarginEdge, and you guys do it. So I can see if, oh, hey, look, my Italian Pilsner went up in price because of grain or this, or, oh my God, my raspberry hibiscus Saison raspberry went off the charts, this last batch.
And I think that's one of the most underutilized parts of the system when it comes to breweries. I don't know if you guys do the same thing, Jason, but putting those the beer batches in as prep recipes can be huge, right?
Yeah, we do. We still currently use a different inventory software for our beer.
Okay.
And that's mainly for inventory purposes because we're self-distributing, and we're distributing between 10 tap rooms. That's kind of where it's like the transfer system. Not saying it wouldn't work, but we're doing individual ordering in between our own distribution. And then also with our massive distributor, we need to make sure those inventory levels stay on top. We stay on top with inventory levels.
Got it. Ed Wallen, do you all use food to support beer sales and push traffic? Maybe events, pairings, anything like that for you guys?
100%. I don't want to give my secrets away, but so twice a year we do what's called a beer dinner. Essentially, is we make 5 brews specifically that you've never had on tap before that are paired with a chef menu item. This is our opportunity to allow our kitchen managers and our line cooks to be way more elevated, provide cooking techniques we could never do during normal business service. So it is special catered that we provide the menu for, and then our head chef and our head brewmaster always come out and kind of talk about the vision of what they created and why they created it and how it pairs well with the actual beer. So we do that twice a week. We sell tickets for it. We are close to the public. We make it, kind of that more final or a formal dining experience where it is fine dining. Everyone dresses up. The staff love it from front of house to back house because it's something that's not as monotonous as the day to day. They gotta have fun with it. It's special plating. We rent out plates to make sure it's that not top level notch. So that's one of the fun experiences that we do that makes sure, a fun beer goes a long way with a fun menu item that you'll never see before and never see again. And kind of just sets us apart and allows us during our slower business days to bring in that extra revenue. We also do a fun event called Beer, Bacon, Coffee. So twice a year, we open up early to the public. We open at 8, and we do all unlimited drinking, unlimited beer, and unlimited bacon from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And again, we put 7 beers on tap that have never been had before and never will be had again. So it's, again, an opportunity for our brewers to be creative, an opportunity for us to do something different, and also bring people in from hours of operations that we're not normally around for. So we do look a lot of pairings. As far as the food from our kitchen, when we do beer pairings, we do try and highlight a local organization that is also Denver based. So if we're going to use a local ice cream shop or a local pie company for a beer pairing, we try and identify, certain pies that'll go well together. So, if you do a pumpkin pie with a Marzen, that kind of stuff as far as the food pairings. But we do try and highlight other companies just to bring help and build ticket sales because, their social output is just as big as our social output. So we provide the beer, they provide the food. We've never done a pairing internally, but we have done a lot of events where, we'll do a burger day or a hot dog day, or we'll go down for opening day for the Colorado Rockies, which if anyone who follow baseball, they're having a record losing season. But we do try and make it, kind of fun and, trying to do a lot of outreach is what we can do and provide our tap rooms with, just a little bit more experience from the food side of it and the beer side of it. We always try and do those pairings just because it's we do want to showcase what our kitchen can do and also what our brewers can do.
Love that. Well, look, I'm an Orioles fan, so don't talk to me about baseball disappointment. All right, here we'll kind of start to wrap up with a loaded question. So here, Chris, if you could go back and do one thing differently with your food program, what would it be?
Oh, so I'm actually going to throw 2 at you because they're 2 different approaches. One is I would not have started without a chef. First and foremost, I thought being able to hire somebody as an up and comer that would be a good idea. It just didn't pan out. You need somebody with experience to start your kitchen. There's no way around that. Second thing is, and this maybe plays into that a little bit more. We were more when we were doing the ordering and when we were doing and we were designing the menu. we were designing the menu based on the dishes that we really wanted to do, and we really weren't focused on cross utilization. And once you get the concept of cross utilization and why you're doing it and how much it not only speeds up the process in the kitchen and to get the food out and get quality food out, but it also so much impacts food costs and inventory and waste. Those are the two things that I think that if you are looking at this and you're either looking at revamping your kitchen or starting a new kitchen that are absolutely key. Like we had 10 or 12 menu items and we probably had 60 ingredients, right?
Okay.
And it just wasn't like the food was great, but it took longer to get out and the food cost was really high. That was why we were at 33 to 35%, and now we're down at 27%. And the food is better and coming out faster. So it's you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so those would be my two things.
I love that. And I love the fact that you're throwing those numbers out there because, I'm constantly having conversations with taproom owners. And I always say that your technology is not an expense, right? It's there to save you time and ultimately help you make more money. It's an investment, right? Here, I know this is going to be loaded for you, Jason. Before you guys have 14 years, but if you could go back and do one thing differently with the food program, what would it be?
I mean, first off, inventory control, cost control. Like, I think we started, the original chef we hired, we started doing things that were like so far left, so far right, and so creative and awesome. But at the end of the day, it's like, you look at your food costs, and I think we started at like 40-45%. I was like, okay, you don't make any money off of that kind of the margin. So I think that would have been definitely the biggest one, is just making cost control analysis. Like anytime you start a kitchen, even if you're pen and papering it for the first couple of minutes and first couple times or months until you can actually afford it and you see that, great. I think the second one is better investing in your kitchens. I think, if you have this vision and goal, as you just said, kitchens are an investment. You got to spend the money. I think we should have, once we recognized after a couple months of like, hey, this is actually going to like pop off, we should have just been like right then and there, change the way the structure of the line worked, change the structure of the equipment we had, and started an investment early. When I took over, I was the first one to start like recognizing like the value of it and started investing more money into the kitchen and less into the front of house. Obviously there are ISOs in front of house that we fixed, but I really was like, okay, we got to change. We can't just say that's like, oh, that's the way it always worked. Like, again, that's the way it always worked. But like, then you find yourself years later, like needing that third fry or wanting the whatever it might be, the pizza oven, wanting a slicer, wanting a freezer, whatever it might be. But I think we should have recognized real quick, if we're going to invest in a patio with almost 400 seats, we should probably invest in the kitchen as well and not just say, well, it's going to work this way, we'll make it figure it out. But eventually it's like, I did invest. I invested in the right equipment, invested in the right tools and gadgets, and went from a 50-minute ticket time to a 14-minute average ticket time. And that's probably the biggest thing, is like, if it is an investment. So, I mean, I hate to say go big or go home, but like, if you're super passionate about it, you'll figure it out. You might put out the wrong menu to start, but if you have the tools and equipment that you invested in, you can figure it out. And to your Chris exact example is like, have the right staff. The people make everything. People, product. Let's worry about cost last.
Yep, absolutely.
Love it. Well, what I'm taking away from this today, we've got two very different innovative operators. Man, you guys have both shared a wealth of knowledge. And it's funny how, from my world, I ran nightclubs and fine dining restaurants. It's all the same, right? And I love the fact that you both have found innovative ways to implement food to grow your beer sales, to grow your business. I love that. Well, look, we thank everyone for the time today. Thank Chris, thank Jason for their time. Again, we've got Chris, Breakway Brewing. I know where I'm going if I'm in San Antonio. We've got Jason with Wilding Brands down in Denver, Colorado. I will pop in before going to a Rockies game. Everyone take care, and thank you again for the time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.